Okay, all set?
1 second.
Okay,
Now we're live.
okay. All right. Welcome everyone to our school committee meeting. I will call this meeting to order at 6:03. Before I recognize Member McFadden, I'm going to go through who's on the meeting. So we have school committee members. We have Member Donovan, Member Green, Member Allen, Member McFadden, Member Pasillo, Member Monroe, and myself. And for administrators, we have our superintendent, James Aronakis. We have our director of administration, Bob Ross, director of technology, Jeremy Taylor. We have our legal counsel, Andrew Hennius. And I think I got everybody. Okay. Okay, Member McFadden, go ahead.
So two issues. Executive session item B. I looked up the paragraph that you cited for this, and it identifies the reason for going into executive session would be for collective bargaining, which it's not, and litigation, which I don't know of anything regarding litigation. There may be a potential litigation, but there's no active litigation that I know of, which is what the paragraph that you cited to enter into executive session about this town of Exeter business. So I don't think that's been identified correctly. So I would suggest that you put this back on the agenda the next time, either properly identifying the section that you want to go into executive session with, or have it in public session.
Okay, so I'm going to recognize Attorney Hennius.
That matter is advertised properly, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Okay, so, I'm going to challenge you on this. I don't know how it is. I mean, I read it. I have some command of the English language, Andrew. I don't think you're going to get off that quick. So I don't agree with the language. Why don't you read it to the rest of the committee?
I'm not going to read it to the rest of the committee, Mr. McFadden. I've given my legal opinion that it's advertised properly. Any other legal
Is that
advice,
right?
Any other legal advice I'd be happy to give the committee in executive session. I don't give legal advice in open session, Mr. McFadden. You know that.
What? you make this stuff as you go, Andrew, right?
No, actually, I don't.
I mean, I asked you to read what's that?
I said, actually,
you
I
don't give legal advice. You don't give legal advice in open session. Are you going to stop talking when I am? Okay, the second piece, I don't agree with our solicitor. The second piece is under new business. Where's the new business? Where is it? Let me get the right agenda here. So you put on there the two, charter requests. So there's under new business, paragraph B, charter revision process. I want those things pulled. Since I asked for them to be put on the agenda, I'd like them to be removed for tonight's agenda, not addressed, and we'll simply, I'll ask them to be put on at some point in the future. Okay?
Well, they're on there per your request, so yep, we'll remove them.
What's that? I can't hear you.
They're on there per your request. That's why they're on new business. So if they're your request, so we'll remove them.
Okay, remove them. We're good. Thank you.
Okay, let's see. We will go to open forum. So comments must be directed to the chairperson of the school committee, who may limit or terminate a discussion. No comment should address personnel, litigation, or negotiations as restricted by open meeting regulations. The school committee cannot take action or vote on topics introduced that are not reflected on the agenda. If there's anyone that'd like to speak on something that is not on the agenda, you may do so now. You can raise your hand or *9 if on the phone, and *6 mutes and unmutes. Okay, I think we're good. Alrighty, so we will go to our recognitions. So nice. We have something exciting on our agenda. Happy. So we have the Hera Gallery Young Adult Art Show Competition Award recipients. And I'm just going to state who's on the meeting. So we have Mrs. Chandler, our principal. We have Miss Lind, our art teacher, and we have Miss Pichette, our art teacher. And I'll turn it over to Jim, and you
Yes,
direct to who you want to lead on this.
yes. So I have talked with Mrs. Lind, who's the chair of the arts department at our junior senior high school. And she is going to take the lead on introducing our students and telling us a little bit about the competition that these students were entered into, the Hera Gallery Young Adult Exhibition that took place earlier this year. And Nicole Pichette has put together a little slideshow with the pieces of art that these students are being recognized for. So I'm going to share my screen and get that document up, and I'm going to turn it over to Miss Lind, and she can tell you a little bit about the competition while I get ready, and then we'll post their art, and she can introduce our award recipients. Elizabeth?
Hello. I'm excited to be here tonight to give the kudos to our kids who so richly deserve it. And I just want to make the comment that Hera Gallery is a real pioneer of an institution. It's one of the longest running galleries in the United States. It's a gallery I read about before I moved to Rhode Island. It has some very famous artists, and even though it's this little tiny spot in little tiny Wakefield in little tiny Rhode Island, it's a very, very powerful organization. To have this exhibition every 2 years is an enormous opportunity. So what we hope for is just a small recognition to just be with the big kids in the big pond. And per usual, the EWG kids just swept it. It wasn't the kind of thing where everybody gets an award. They give very, very few. And for us to come away with 2 first places and best of show, we're extremely proud of what these kids have accomplished. It hasn't been easy, back and forth getting materials, and it's just a very, very different experience, but they did an amazing job. And both Nicole and I have learned so much from it. So, oh, here they are. The first one that we'll recognize, we call her Duska, Caitlin Duska. She got first place for portrait. So, and just an amazing duality, kind of a piece. I'm extremely proud of her. I can take no credit for her work at all. I'm just there, to help and to talk, and we all critique together. She is incredible on her own. So our next person, do I advance it?
No, I
Okay, great. So our next person is Sonia Ekloff. And this is an extremely difficult category, the painting. And she did a mixed media piece that really expressed a lot of what goes on in the mind of someone her age. Very powerful piece that completely shocked the judges. Really remarkable. So our next person, so Alyssa is a sweetheart. I tease her so much because I call it the Zampa shuttle. She comes back and forth, back and forth. If she needs any little thing, she'll come right to the school. Her dedication, organization is remarkable. And in the piece that she submitted, it's really incredible because it shows both sides, the polarity of what we're all going through, the negative with the positive, plus a really remarkable shaded self-portrait that she ripped and collaged onto here. So to get one first place, never mind two, and then the top award for the entire exhibition. We're golden, and I think it's a nice reflection on the new way of doing things now with the art pathway. We really have almost like, when somebody has a major in a college, these are our art majors, and they are just taking off with this new approach.
It's really remarkable, and I think we're super lucky to have you helping to make the connections that the kids need so their work can be out there in the public and they can really experience what it's like to be an artist and to be showing work out in public settings, something that I know you do in your out of school life as well.
Right. And for these kids to be in this real life setting is incredible. I mean, they're showing where famous artists have shown. So it gives them an incredible experience. But I just have to say, all of you have never let us down. I mean, no matter what we've ever needed in any way, we always have felt incredibly supported. I'm sure Nicole would like to do a nice long speech about that. Right, Nicole?
I agree. Everything she says, I agree.
Very good. I'd like to say congratulations to, let's see, Sonia, Caitlin, Alyssa. Wow. When I was looking at those, I was like, amazing talent. So proud of all of you. And obviously, congratulations. And thank you so much for representing Exeter West Greenwich. That's you're representing your whole community with your talent, and that's awesome. So congratulations to all of you. And obviously, I want to many thanks to Ms. Pichette, Ms. Lind, for your dedication and your commitment, continuous dedication, commitment to our kids. You're both awesome. You're excellent. The kids can't speak highly enough of both of you. And as many years I've been at Exeter West Greenwich, which is quite a few, you're two standouts. So thank you so much for all your hard work and dedication. And I will acknowledge anyone else to speak if you want to raise your hand. Go ahead, Member Green.
Are the girls on?
Yes.
Yeah, the girl.
Okay,
I'm gonna let
them.
them.
Congratulations.
Just want to see if you wanted to say something.
Congratulations to the girls. I am completely blown away by those pieces. Just amazing. And I wish you all the best going forward. It's just amazing. That's all I can say. It was great.
Member Monroe.
Thanks. Yeah, I'd like to echo Member Green's sentiments there. And honestly, those images took my breath away. I am so impressed by your talent. And I love that you're given a platform to showcase your skills and your talent there. So thank you so much for sharing that with us as well.
Okay. Girls, would you like to say anything while you're on with the committee? I don't want to call you out. You don't have to say anything. Go ahead, Alyssa. Oh, I think I can't hear you. You're not muted though. Nope, can't hear you.
How about now?
There you go.
Woo! Okay. I just want to say thank you so much, and that this was such an amazing opportunity that the school offered for us to even try to get into this show, and I just really appreciated all the support while I was working on this project.
Change my view. Okay. Alrighty. Very good. Thank you again, everybody.
Thank
Excellent
you.
job. And
Thank you.
as a school committee, we love great news and to see the talent of our kids. It's awesome. So thank you so much to the three of you. And don't feel like you have to stay on. Go enjoy your evenings.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much for joining us.
Thank you. Congratulations, girls.
Congratulations.
Okay, we will go on to the consent agenda.
Okay, under consent, we have the regular minutes from January 26th and the regular minutes from February 9th. I'm so happy to have Ms. Robin back with us. We also have our monthly bills, and that is all under consent.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, comments, or like anything pulled? Okay, I don't see any hands. Okay, so if we can have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Donovan, so moved.
Donovan moves. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
Green seconds. Okay, I'll take a roll call vote. Member Donovan,
Aye.
Member Green,
Aye.
Member Allen,
Aye.
Member McFadden,
Aye.
Member Priscilla,
Aye.
Member Monroe.
Aye.
Okay, and I'm an aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we have correspondence. We have the notification from the Westerly Community Credit Union on 5 teacher grant awards.
So over the past several meetings, you've been approving these grants as they've come in. This year, we have 5 award winners. In previous years, the maximum that we've ever received is 3. So this is pretty significant. And 3 of them are from the high school and 2 from Wawalam. So pretty exciting. And I just wanted you to be aware that we were notified of the news.
Excellent. I know none of them are here, but since we're obviously on a meeting with everybody, I'd like to thank publicly, I'd like to thank Gwen Millar, Nicole Pichette, Bevan Winter, Melissa Marino, and Aaron McKean. I'd like to thank them for their thoughtful projects, writing the grants, and for providing the students with extra opportunities. It's awesome, and it's nice that we got 5 grants awarded this year, especially during the pandemic. So thank you to those 5 teachers. Okay. Let's see, monthly subcommittee reports. I think we have a capital project building committee report in our packet. Any questions, comments on that? Okay, Bob, would you like to say anything on the minutes, or you're all set?
Nope, those are just for, for update.
Yep.
For the committee.
Okay,
Thank you.
very good. Okay, we'll go to new business. We have the 2021-22 school calendar approval.
Okay, so the calendar is included in the packet. I was waiting for the state to release their draft state calendar, which they have. First day of school is listed as September 3rd, and that will be for grades 1 through 9 with an orientation for our young children in preschool and kindergarten, and then 9th grade will have the high school all to themselves. We've been doing that for the past several years. And then we will bring all of the kids back on the 7th. The state has added in 4 professional development days in the state calendar. The first 2 are on September 1st and September 2nd, so they count as one of the 180 school days. And then the other 2 were added in the calendar, one of them on May 11th, and then they actually had one listed as March 14th, but I did that one as a full professional development day because we have 4 in our contract above and beyond the 180, and we just added a couple of days at the end of the calendar. That way we start at the beginning of a week, we end at the end of a week. And as usual, we've tracked all of the religious holidays, and the vacation schedules are consistent with all of the school districts across the state, which is something that we know that we want to do, and the state is requiring us to do that.
Okay. Any questions on the calendar?
I also built in this year a full day for parent conferences. You'll notice at the end of October, we had tried some different approaches over the past couple of years, but this seems to be the preferred method, particularly for our elementary kids.
Okay. Member Donovan?
Thank you. Just an observation, I can't ever remember a school year starting on a Friday. So do you have anything, I'm sure you will, but anything in particular in mind to juice that up as a first day of school? I know I wouldn't want to miss the first day of school, but as the lead into a long weekend,
Yeah.
got some
So,
challenges.
There's a couple of challenges. The state calendar actually has the third now. The current draft of the state calendar has the third as the first day of school. There was some pushback from some religious organizations about the first day of school being on a Jewish holiday, which is Rosh Hashanah on the 7th. They didn't really want their kids to be missing the first day of school for a religious holiday, particularly after the year that we've had. You know that all of our kids have the opportunity to be in person, either 5 days a week or at the high school now on a hybrid model, but a lot of our kids are on full remote. So this will be their first time back in the building after a year and 3 months worth of home instruction. So we really think that coming in on a Friday will be an opportunity for us just to reconnect, because we're going to need that time with the kids. You know, it'll be the first time that all of them are back in the buildings at the same time. So that's our thinking.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Everybody else is good? I don't see any other hands up. Okay. So if we can have, let's see, sorry, we need approval on this, right? Yeah. So if we can have a motion to approve the 2021-22 school calendar.
Donovan, so moved.
And do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Green seconds. I'll take a roll call vote. Member Donovan?
Aye.
Member Queen?
Aye.
Member Allen?
Aye.
Member McFadden?
Aye.
Member Priscilla?
Aye.
Member Monroe?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, motion carries. Thanks. Okay, so
you.
now we have, okay, so we're going to go to C on the agenda. New business C, the 2021-22 budget adoption.
Just give me a second to get.
Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
that.
You're good.
Okay. So this is the only document that I am going to share this evening. I think we've gone through many iterations over the past couple of months, but I'm going to focus on this last column. So this is the 2021-22 draft budget, and today's date is the 23rd. So our current standing, the current draft operations, is now down to 33,795,225. So it is even lower than it was on the last draft, but this was our starting point, 34,616,726. Before I plug that in, I just want to show some of the math down on the bottom, because there is something that is a little bit different about what I've reported here. The SRO, the school resource officer, is currently in the budget, and for the FY21 school year, the year that we're in right now, that expense was pulled out of the budget. However, the towns did authorize sharing that payment outside of the operating budget that is approved by the school committee. So I just wanted to demonstrate that last year, the town of Exeter paid this amount, town of West Greenwich paid this amount, but they also paid an additional $62,683 each for the SRO, which we've now put back into the operating budget. So if we're comparing apples to apples, I wanted to show that the full expense to the town of Exeter is this local impact number plus the cost of the SRO for the current school year. And then the impact for next school year should be built off of this combined amount because they did pay this and the SRO is back in the budget, so that we're comparing apples to apples. It doesn't bring it down a lot, but the starting point for Exeter was 10.07% with that SRO adjustment. So that's something different that I wanted to demonstrate before we began this discussion. So let me show you what happens when I plug in our current number. Okay, so we've cut out $821,501 from the original. So that brings us to what you see down in the bottom, 6.88% for Exeter and almost -1% for West Greenwich. And these are the percentages that do include debt service. I was asked to also show what happens if we exclude debt service, just for the sake of conversation. In order for me to show that calculation, I had to pull debt service out of last year as well, again, so that we could compare apples to apples. And if you pull debt service out, Exeter goes from 6.88% to 6.75%, and West Greenwich from -0.94 to -0.78. So it doesn't really create that much of a differential, but it's there in case you want to see the comparison. The other conversation is, we'll talk about cuts in a second. I have built in CTE tuition, so we are now at $230,571 in anticipated tuitions. We have a few new kids that are coming in that have been confirmed. I've already built that in. So last year's revenue was $189,069, and for the current year. And for next year's budget, it's up to $235,71 at this point. We have had some conversation about the OPEB reserve assignment. So we did take school committee action to place that money into a reserve line. And we've talked about including some of the funds to offset the post-employment benefit costs for our retirees as a new revenue. I have not placed that in here yet. And I just want to make sure that that is something that the school committee wants me to do before I plug that in and you authorize. Because we talked about it, there seemed to be some positive thoughts about that move, but we hadn't really talked about coming to consensus on whether that was a definite move that I should plug in. Let me show you what happens if I do that. Okay, so that becomes a new revenue, which then you can see the percents are impacted. So now we're down to 6.24% for Exeter and -1.53% for West Greenwich. Okay. I was also asked to take a look at some potential reductions and identify what they could be. So I want to share that with you. And before I do that, there are some additional reductions that could be made. They're really just unknown at this point. We have estimated charter school tuitions based on predicted enrollment numbers. particularly at our 2 charter schools where we send the majority of our kids that do attend charter. Those are the Kingston Hill Academy and the Compass School. They are scheduled to have their lottery on March 1st, which is on Monday of next week. And so shortly thereafter, I'll have an indication of whether the predictions that we've made can be reduced or not. And that could be a potential reduction. We are also monitoring elementary enrollment. We have enough staff in the budget to bring back all of the kids that are currently on a homeschool assignment, but we will continue to monitor to make sure that all of those children actually do return. And there is at least one grade level where it could be tight, and there's a potential, depending on how many kids actually return, a potential that there might be a reduction there as well. And then I don't know of any at the present time, but if we get any additional retirements, there could be some savings through attrition. But the retirements that we know of, those savings are already built into the draft budget that we have. So these are just things that I wanted to list as, this is data that we continue to monitor. And if we can make adjustments, hopefully the adjustments are positive, and we can impact the budget even more in a positive way. But in terms of potential cuts, I have identified $230,000. It does not include the SRO. The SRO expense is about $125,000, but the way that I addressed that is by putting the expense in, including the expense from FY21, so that we could have a direct comparison. If I didn't include the expense in FY21 and I excluded the SRO in FY22, it would actually have the same impact. So I just kind of showed what the impact would be in a different way. I think this is probably a better way to do it because it was an actual expense in FY21. But I had a request about the ELA curriculum materials at the junior and senior high school. I have asked the question about the use of stimulus money to offset those expenses. It is a good possibility that that will be an allowable expense. I don't have that in writing and I don't have direct confirmation, but I feel good that that is a potential positive cut that we could make. We are also identifying one clerical elimination. We do have a retirement for next year that's already been approved by the school committee. We would need to do some moving of people around, and it would not be ideal. However, this retirement could just be a non-replacement. And then we have the junior senior high school student assistance counselor who is on an annual contract. That was something that we talked about last year as well, but we were able to put that individual back into the budget, at the end of our work. So I put it back on for this year. And then we have some interventionist positions at Wawalum and at the junior high school. That would be 0.5 positions at each school. It's pretty scary to think about cutting interventions when we know that we have kids whose learning loss has really grown as a result of not being in school. Families that are homeschooling, not getting the face-to-face experience that we know is better for them. But however, it is not a mandatory position. And so those things could be cut. And then we don't have the enrollment numbers at the high school yet, but we could take a look at enrollment in electives and cut off, not run certain electives based on lower enrollment. We could just kind of raise the minimum enrollment number for a course to run. So these are some projected savings. It's about $230,000 worth. And what I have done is I've figured out, well, if we cut the full 230, this is what our new number would be. 33,565,225. If we cut half of the potential cuts, meaning, we definitely could do some of them, but we're not comfortable with others, then that would be $115,000 reduction. It would bring us to this number. I can show you what the impact of each of those would be if I plug them in to this. So let me just show you 33,680, 225. That's if we did half of the potential cuts that have been identified. That brings Exeter down below 6. And if I plugged in 33,565, 225, which is if we did all of these cuts, 5.35% for Exeter. This is an opportunity for some discussion about whether or not these are things that we want to consider. And then the other consideration is I still have 0 listed for an assignment from the unassigned fund balance. So we know that we still have a balance that exists. I reported on that balance at the last meeting. And even after all of the votes that we've taken, there's about an anticipated $300,000 remaining that we could assign. However, to be cautious, anything that we take out of unassigned fund balance to assign here creates a structural deficit. Last year, we voted to put in 320,000, but when we had increased tuitions, we actually only needed just shy of 250,000. That is not a number that I can fill in by myself. That's a school committee that needs to make that decision. So that's another option that we have to plug a number in here from unassigned fund balance. And I can show you, if you want me to test out a number, I can show you what the impact would be on the budget. And then the only other thing that I want to share is, I'm just going to plug in the 33,680 if we did half the cuts, 680, 225. So if we did half of the recommended cuts, this would be our new number, 33,680, 225. And I think these percentages are important for us to look at. I don't know if people have been looking at the paper, but other districts are starting to present and pass their budgets as well. I have not seen one request from another district for an operating increase of less than 4%, which is the max. We are at 1.64% over what was finally approved in FY21, which we know was a reduction over FY20. It is a 0.88% increase over what we received in FY20. So, based on the FY20 budget, it's a 0.44% increase per year on average. And it is roughly 0.5% less than the original budget that was approved by the school committee in May of last year before things kind of went south. So this is important for you to look at. I think that we can get sidetracked by these numbers, by this number in particular. But I just want to call to everybody's attention that this has to do with the population conversation, not an exorbitant request for massive increases from the school department. Our actual increase is a 1.64% request over last year. And remember, last year was already $250,000 less than the previous year. So that's what I have to say. And I can do this in an interactive way, conversations about cuts, conversations about whether this number, the 164,948 from the OPEB reserve line, sticks, and conversations about assigning additional funds from unassigned fund balance to continue to offset the expense to the towns. So I'll do what you asked me to do.
Okay. Remember, Donovan, you have your hand up, but I think it was up from last time. I'm not sure.
Yes, that was just an unlowered hand.
Okay.
And
Member Green?
Claudine, I can't
Oh, go ahead,
see
Jim.
anybody. I can't see anybody because I shrunk the viewing screen so I can see everything on the document that
Okay.
I'm working off of. So if you could just identify people.
Yep. Okay. So, yep, we have Member Green.
Hi, I have two questions. So, and I don't know if there was any teeth to this, but I did see a bill about retirements, and it was a bill I can't remember who put the bill out there, but I read it last week maybe, and it was looking to give early retirements to, not really early because, you know, a lot of people are beyond retirement, because there's about 80% of teachers in the state on top step. Do you know anything about that, or have you heard anything about that?
So I did hear about an early retirement bill
Mm-hmm.
that did not impact teachers at all.
Okay.
It was it wasn't public school teachers. It was other individuals,
Okay.
like at the college level.
Oh, okay.
There has not been any conversation about public school teachers with an early retirement incentive. We've asked the question. It doesn't seem to be gaining any traction at this point.
I keep waiting for it. I just, not for myself, but I just keep waiting for that to be a possibility, because there are so many out there that are beyond, you know, the 28-year mark that would love to, but can't. And it's a big load on the districts with that many teachers at top step and beyond. And my other question was the ELA curriculum, was that the high quality curriculum stuff that I had asked about? Okay.
Yeah.
So I just kind of did a little bit of reading on that in the Rhode Island Department of Ed website. And I mean, they really have the districts a little bit at a, you know, this is what I don't love, that when they mandate those things, it looked like they gave you some years to get that stuff into place and a possibility to prove that you actually do have it already.
We don't.
Okay.
We definitely do not, and I've said that, you know, for a couple of years now. But we've gone through the review cycle. So we've looked at different programs and materials. We've done a pilot, or we're going through the pilot stage. So you know, we're just kind of following the contractual process that is defined based on the last CBA that we have. And in order for us to hit the deadline of 2023, these materials are necessary. But you're right, this is another mandate that we've not really gotten any additional funding on. And I haven't talked about the other mandate that's out there for every elementary school teacher to be trained in the scientific reading process, which I think is fantastic, except that all of the approved vendors require about 75 hours per year times 2 years for them to be fully trained to meet that legislation. Now think about that. Where do we get the subs and the time and the money that is necessary to train every elementary teacher for 2 years for 75 hours? We can't pull them out of classes for that many days. We don't have subs. So we're trying to work through some other ideas on how we can make that happen, take advantage of some of the professional development days that the state has given us. But, you know, there's a lot of mandates that were given that cost a ton of money.
Well, that's my point. Like in this, especially in this climate, you know, can you put that on hold? And almost a bit insulting that they don't think you have high quality curriculum. And then when you look into it, it goes into there's one organization that you can choose your materials from. I looked at that. It's a nonprofit organization. And if you look, you know, it's, you know, the same people that brought us the Common Core and the amount of money spent on that. And it's just a lot. It's a lot of mandates that cost a lot of money. And we're not even using stuff that were from the last one, you know?
Yep. And it does seem though that, you know, we've wanted to kind of move in a different direction with our reading instruction. So I don't think that these things are bad things. It's just
no, but it's just the expectation that districts are, oh, here we go. Here's another 100,000 to spend on this, and it's just not easy.
But in terms of the money that's coming to us from the last stimulus that was passed, I have some pretty positive comments that the expenses related to the curriculum materials and training that we need could be applied to that stimulus, which would be helpful for us.
Okay.
And then Marie also wrote a grant to help with the training expenses. So that's not budgeted because we got a separate grant for that to happen. So we are getting some help.
Oh, good.
This would allow us to just reduce it out of the operating and move it to the grant, so it wouldn't impact us at all.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, Cheryl, you're good? I don't see any other hands. So, Jim, if you could, so here's my thoughts. So obviously interventionists, I say those are a big no, in my opinion, because kids are going to be coming back from a pandemic and have been out of school for a year and I guess a quarter or a little more.
Yeah,
So
it's a year and 3 months.
Yeah,
Right.
a year and 3 months. So those I would say absolutely not. Again, this is my opinion. The junior high, senior high student assistant, that's got to stay in for the same reason. Kids are going to be coming back with all sorts of, I think, problems, and I mean, the more support they have, the better. The SRO, based on your you putting the number in that the towns each paid half of that. I don't know what taking that out is going to impact anything, correct? It's not going to reduce anything. Okay, so let's say that stays in. And then the curriculum materials, I would say take out, because I think you seem pretty confident that you're going to be able to supplant that with COVID money. And then the senior high staff, the 0.5 staff, it's hard enough to get classes to run in this district with the amount of kids that we have, with the size of the student body. So if we elevate that number for some classes and we have more classes that don't run because of that, or one class, I think that's a disservice to the kids. So I would not take that out. The clerk TA elimination, what school does that impact? Or does that impact admin? What does that position impact?
No, so we cut one last year, and we did like a halftime at Metcalf and a halftime at admin, right? We had 2 retirements we replaced with 1 person.
Yeah.
This would be a retirement, but we would move 1 existing clerk to a shared position, but I have not announced what that would look like yet. So I don't want to do it on a public session without having the conversation with the
Okay.
that are impacted. So it wouldn't be a full elimination of a clerk, but it would be consolidating to a shared position like we did last year. And it's worked out pretty well this year. And I think, it is something I think that we could manage.
Okay. Well, let's keep it in for now, because it's not 44,000 might not make a huge difference. So if we took out just the ELA materials and then put the OPEB money in 164,948, and then put $200,000 in available from surplus. Let's just see where we're at.
Okay, so I'm going to need to adjust this. So current draft is 33,795. So we would go 33,745, right? Because you want me to just take out that 50?
Correct.
Okay, so that number is correct. I have the 200,000 from unassigned fund balance, the OPEB reserve. That's where we are.
Okay, 527. Okay, and then where does that bring us up on top with the change, the operating budget change?
1.84% over the existing budget, minus 0.34% from the May school committee approval, and a 1.07% increase over FY20.
The actual, okay. All right. Okay, so if do we have any conversation comments on my suggestions? That's kind of where I'm at right now. Member McFadden?
I don't have it in front of me, Jim, but what percentages increases are we talking about based on those Claudine recommendations are the increases to the town? Percentages.
Okay, so based on those numbers that we just plugged in, including debt service, West Greenwich would be at negative 2.43%, and Exeter would be at 5.27%. The total change in contributions from the two towns is $302,969. The problem is that West Greenwich has a negative $350,000 and Exeter has a positive $653,000. So, the overall increase to the two towns is small, 302,000, relatively small compared to the size of the budget, but it's disproportionately impacting the two towns based on the population shift. If you exclude debt service, the numbers change very, very slightly. Exeter would be 5.14% and West Greenwich minus 2.27%. And then the percent increase over prior year is 1.84% and 1.07% if you compare it to 2 years ago. So again, minus the population shift, the number is relatively small. Population shift is killing us.
Paul, are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Jim, before I recognize Member Pasillo, I have one question. Remind us what the percentage change was with just the population shift from there. Was it 5.3? It was 5.3 something, correct? If we didn't change anything in the budget, what was the?
It was 5.02%.
5.02. Okay. Member Pasillo, go ahead.
Hello. I'm just wondering if we could get Exeter down to 4%, because then we don't need a
impossible
big budget change and everything. I think 4% is the minimum or something like that. Is that what's going on there?
Yeah, so the issue that we have is the massive population shift that's occurred. And so if we just look at the population shift alone without making any other adjustments to the budget, Exeter was at 5.02%. That's if I level funded everything. Exeter was at 5.02% just based on the population shift. So to get it down to 4% means we have to reduce the overall budget even below where it currently is. And it's currently at $250,000 less than where it was last year. So it's the population shift conversation that is, it's unique to us because we're a regional district and this is the way that our charter says we have to do it. But if we didn't have that, we wouldn't need to have that conversation because we'd already be there. So I don't know how to answer the question. I don't think it's possible because of the massive population shift that we're experiencing, which, I've talked about at our previous meetings.
Right.
And I did show you that, I can just kind of plug this in too. I know that the committee is not interested in making any adjustments, but based on my analysis of just preschool and kindergarten enrollments, I just want to show you what happens if I plug those in. I just want to make sure I don't lose the original number. So if we did not have the shift just in preschool and kindergarten, which we know is not the total shift, but it's a pretty good chunk of it. Let me just plug in these percentages, 47.4 and 52.6. So had we made an adjustment for preschool and kindergarten enrollment, Exeter would be below 4%. It would be at 3.74%, and West Greenwich would be at minus 1.11%. And we'd be in a good place, but that's not something that we're pursuing. I just wanted to demonstrate what the impact would be based on the pre-KK analysis that I had done. So we also know that next year, the population shift, again, based on the analysis that I've shared, it's going to swing right back in the opposite direction. So Exeter is going to see a decline and West Greenwich is going to see an increase when the population kind of stabilizes and kids return to early childhood learning and the rest of the kids return to in-person learning. The shift is absolutely going to happen. So Exeter is going to go up this year and then they're going to go down next year. West Greenwich goes down this year and then they're going to go up next year.
There's no way to stabilize it, huh?
Well, I did try.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Jim, I'm looking through all my sheets. I'm kind of harping on that, what the percentage would have been with just a population shift. I want to make, I don't know why, does that, I have 5 point, I know you said 08. I have a lot of 5.38. Is there a way to, I'm asking because I'm wondering if we put like $300,000 available surplus. I'm trying to get, I guess, close to that, what that percentage would have been with just a population shift.
Okay, so, all right. So bear with me for a minute, okay?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Yep.
I'm going to keep the CTE tuitions in because that's a revenue that we will absolutely receive.
Okay.
So it's going to change the number a little bit. Wrong number. All right, so what I did was I plugged in for this draft a level funded budget to what we currently have of 33,136,553, right?
Yep.
Everything else is staying consistent except that I've now built in the extra 3 career and tech tuitions. Let me just make sure I've done all this correctly. So 33,136,553. Six, 8, 9, so 7, 8, 8, 9. Yep. So that's correct. And that is this number minus those 2. Yep. That is this number. Okay, so that's right. So it is adjusted slightly because of what I did with the SRO. Right, so we originally were at 5.03%, I think it was 5.02 or 5.03%, but because of the SRO adjustment that I made here, so let me just 62683, and this is like, I'm saying it's an adjustment, but it's an actual expense that both towns paid. So if I didn't make that adjustment, we would be at 4.86%. Again, it is slightly lower because of the increase in tuition. So if I plug the number in that used to be there, 189,069,
Okay, yep,
5.2%.
5.02. Okay,
Right. So, so that was our original starting point with level funding everything and just looking at the population shift. It's a 5.02% increase to Exeter without doing anything because
Right.
the population shift is massive. So, you know, if I make the adjustment because of the actual expense of the SRO that was shared between the two towns, 62,683, it does change from 5.02% to 4.49%. So this is probably more of an accurate figure because these were actual expenses. Then if I plug in the new CTE tuition, 230,571. You know, now we're down to 4.32%.
okay. I think the 5.02 was the original exercise I was looking for.
5.02, yep.
Okay, all right, so plug all the right numbers back in.
33,745,225 because that's $50,000 less than where I am. Right, that was the number that we were looking at.
Yep. And then you gotta put the OPEB back in.
164,948.
Okay. And then for the heck of it, put $300,000 there. Okay, now it's our bottom.
4.88%.
Wow. Okay, go back to the surplus and put in 250.
%, Exeter, negative 2.61%, West Greenwich. And then the total change, with that number built in, the total change to the two towns is $252,969, which is roughly what we were cut from FY20. So the budget goes up, but because of the increased revenues, the total change is 252,969, less than 1%. The problem again is that increase of 252,969 distributes to the two towns as West Greenwich having a negative $376,404 and Exeter a positive 629,373 because of the population shift.
Right. Okay, bear with me. Put 275 in the surplus. Okay. All right.
4.98% Exeter, negative 2.7% West Greenwich.
Okay. So I don't know. I'm good with between 250 and 275 and that number with what we did with everything else with the OPEB and the cuts. I guess I'm looking at right now, if we get Exeter down to where they would have been without us doing anything and just because of the population shift, you know, level funding, we would have been at 5.02. So I think with this scenario, I don't feel like we're impacting the kids. So I'm looking at it as being fiscally responsible for our school, which is our #1 priority, and our two towns.
I think that this clerical elimination is a reasonable cut.
Okay. All right. So put that in. Good. Put that in and then put us back down to 250 for surplus.
All right. So if I do another 44, that would be at 51. So 33,7, 51, 225. Oh. Oops. I don't know what I just did.
just put your number back to where it was and then take off the 94,000 again.
Seen a little time.
Hold on one second. I just don't want to mess this up. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do this one and this one, right? The curriculum and the clerk, which is $94,000 total. So our current draft operations is at 33,795. So I'm going to subtract 94.
Correct.
So it's going to put me at 33,701,225.
Yep.
Okay, that's better. And then I'm going to put the 164,948 in from OPEB.
And then go back to 250 with the surplus.
And the surplus at 250.
Okay, good.
So
Member
that-
Don. Oh,
That brings us
Yeah.
to 4.91% for Exeter and negative 2.77% for West Greenwich. The total change is 208,969, but it's distributed as a positive 608 for Exeter and a negative 399 for West Greenwich.
Okay. Member Donovan.
Thank you. It's probably negligible, but is the 44,000 for the clerk position the full cost of that position?
Yes, only because the individual that's impacted would not be saving us a ton of money in benefits because they're not taken. It might be a little bit more. But there's a possibility of people moving around, which could impact that.
Right. Okay. I can't put my finger on the particular statute, but I just wanted to double check, you know, with regard to the question about the 4% omnibus limit, that not only are the municipalities bound to not increase their tax levy higher than 4%, their overall tax levy, including their own budgets, but it's true, I'm just double checking this, that we can't submit a budget that results in a greater than 4% increase to either one of the contributing communities in terms of their local contribution. Is that correct? I just can't find it in the statute. Because I know the budget, the proposed budget is well under 4% increase, but I was looking for the statutory reference that requires us to stay below 4% or at 4% for the local contribution, regardless of the student formula. That's in our charter. Is that correct?
So I am not a legal expert, and I'll let Andrew try to tackle that one, but I know that there have been years in the past where the population shift was significant, and so they had to, if they couldn't get the total expense down for the town to 4% or less, then they needed to apply for a waiver, and they used the charter with the population shift definition as the rationale for why they had to go over. And I know that West Greenwich got hit first and Exeter got hit once before as well. So I think I think that the year that West Greenwich went over, they had to apply for that special waiver. I think the year Exeter went over, they might have used some reserve funds to keep it down, so they didn't have to apply for that waiver, if I'm not mistaken. But
And I know we don't want to put either of the communities in that position. That's.
No,
we're
definitely not.
Jumping through a lot of hoops so that we don't do that. And that's no guarantee
Yep.
that our budget will be approved at the all-day referendum after all. But, you know, I do, if we're not statutorily required to stay within those limits and we're taking all these efforts to do so, I just want that noted.
Yeah, so my understanding is that it's the town's responsibility to stay within the 4%.
Mhm.
We, in order for us to contribute to that, we wouldn't want to present a budget that's greater than a 4% increase. Our problem is that we have the added variable of the population shift, which can never be controlled unless we do something different with the charter. So, I mean, I'm presenting a budget that the way it stands right now with all the numbers that have been plugged in is 1.70% increase over last year and a less than 1% increase over the FY20 because FY20 was higher than FY21. I mean, it's a very, very small increase. But the charter and the definition of proportionate share as defined by the charter is, I mean,
Andrew,
not a lot of control there.
Andrew, can I, before I know there's a couple hands raised. Andrew, can I go to you? Do you have any?
Yeah, so I'm looking for the statute myself, Terry, and it's killing me because I can't find it as
I know I have it
scanning
saved somewhere else.
Screen here.
Yep.
But the superintendent is correct. It's the town is on the obligation side, and they can also seek waivers depending on you know, the need to go over the percentage increase. That's not the responsibility of the regional school district, though.
Mhm.
Your responsibility is to ask what it costs to operate the basic education program.
Right.
4452.
Well, yeah, that's on the town side.
Right.
That's not school districts.
Okay, well, everybody's looking for that. Let's see.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see. I have Member McFadden. Go ahead.
Did you say it was a 1.6% increase over last year's budget? So when you said it was a 1.6% increase over last year's budget, you're talking about the budget that we're currently running under or the one that was proposed that was defeated? I just want to keep that straight. I asked that question the last time, and this is another meeting. So which budget are you referring to?
The 1.7% increase is over the budget that we're currently operating under, the one that was voted on by the school committee in August after it failed at the all-day referendum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bob, go ahead. You have your hand up.
Yeah, it's just on the 4%, on the town side, if we knew their budget for last year, then it's a simple mathematical equation, and you could see what the maximum 4% would be on their increase. And then you would back into that number through collaboration with them by saying, okay, well, what's your ask going to be? Because if we would need to know what their operations was last year, what their budget was last year, to understand what's the maximum they can do. 4%. We could be doing a whole bunch of exercising here, and it's like, you know, we got plenty of room. We're not planning on spending any money this, you know, in the next fiscal year. I'm not saying that's the case. I'm just saying we're chasing after a target. We don't know what it is. We're assuming.
Yep. And unfortunately, we have to do that every year, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's part of the town council meetings, is they're supposed to come with their budget.
Yep. Which
That's
never happens.
that's in state regs. That's in the general laws.
But they didn't even speak at the last meeting, so I don't know anything.
No, I know. That's historically been it.
Okay. All right, so we have to make a decision, Jim, if we're gonna vote on this tonight or if we're gonna wait until after the combined meeting with the councils. I'm fine voting on it tonight, but how's everybody else feeling?
I think that in order for us to publicize the public hearing, we need to have a number. I think if we revise the number down, nobody's going to be upset. You know what I mean? But in
Yeah.
order for us to publicize advertise for the public hearing, we should vote on a number. And then if we need to lower it, because let's say the March 1st charter tuitions is lower, after the lottery happens at the two charters, it's lower. Or if we get an extra retirement that was unanticipated and I can reduce this a little bit more, at that meeting, we could vote to revise down, which would be nobody's going to be upset about that. Revising up would be a problem, but at least it gives us what's our max point if we vote now.
All
That's
right.
that's what I would prefer.
Okay. And then if we have any changes in tuitions, like positive money coming in, can we take a look at that 250,000 again too?
Yeah, you can make an amendment. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I don't
I
see
mean,
any other hands.
I think the $250,000, I get why we're doing it. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but putting that much money in from unassigned fund balance is risky, right? Because next year you may not have that money in the fund balance, and now it's a $250,000 deficit that we have to make up. So it is a structural deficit, and it is problematic, but at least it would get us to next year.
Yeah. And I mean, I think through the years, we've probably put in that box between 100 and 300, right? So I don't know. I feel like with the numbers that I plugged in anyway, I feel like it's like I said, a fiscally responsible budget. We didn't cut any programs for the kids. So I feel like we're doing our due diligence. And as far as the towns go, we're at 4.91 for Exeter, which is lower than where they would have been with a level fund budget at the 5.03.
And it's lower because of what we've done with revenues.
Right.
There's a $250,000 plug-in from unassigned fund balance. We did that, the OPEB assignment. There's some tuition increases. So the revenue increases is really the reason why this has gone below what they would have been with a level funded budget.
Correct. Yep. Okay. Bob, your hand is up, but I think it was.
Oh, I'm done. Sorry.
That's okay.
Tourette's.
Okay. All right. So I don't know how everybody's feeling because nobody's talking. So do we want to, does somebody want to make a motion so we're making a motion to approve the operating budget, correct? So Jim, it would be a superintendent recommended operating budget. Is that of 33,701,225? Is that what
Yes.
we'd be voting on? Okay.
If everything that's been talked about is what the committee wants.
Yep. Do we have to have a motion to transfer that OPEB money into the budget, or by approving the budget, operating budget, that's automatically approved?
That's how we've been reporting it through the audit in the past. Like when you put money in from unassigned fund balance, it gets recorded as a vote of the school committee through the adoption of the budget. Right, Bob?
Restate the question.
So in other words, when the school committee has approved budgets in the past and we've put money in as a revenue, say, for example, from unassigned fund balance, we haven't done a separate vote to move to, $200,000 from unassigned fund balance to a revenue. We've just approved the budget, and then the auditor takes the approved budget with that assignment as the evidence that the assignment took place.
Yeah, and that's reported on the projection. So
that's correct. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're good. Then just approving the budget handles all of those things. That's why I didn't put a special motion on the agenda.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so if we can have a motion to approve the proposed recommended budget of $33,701,225 as recommended by the superintendent.
Donovan, so moved.
Donovan moves. Do we have a second?
I'll
So I
second.
just want to make sure.
Hold on, Paul. I'll go to discussion. Member Green seconds. Okay, Paul, go ahead.
I just want to make sure that that's kind of general. Is there any way we can just add to the motion, modify the motion to include the demands on the town? You know, it's a 4.91 increase to Exeter. It's a decrease of 3% to Exeter, and put the to West Greenwich and associate a dollar amount with that. No, maybe yes. Jim.
I don't.
I don't know the answer to that. We've not done it before. I think we have to report those numbers out. I don't know if it needs to be part of the motion, but I'll do whatever. I mean, it wouldn't hurt, you know. I'll do whatever I'm told.
I don't know if it's not been done in the past. I thought it was the case that it was done in the past, but
No, we just
we all just vote on
approve
the operating budget.
and then we communicate out the impact on the town separately from the vote of the committee for the operating budget.
So
all right,
the letter,
but it's a 4.91 increase to Exeter, and it's a what? What's it? A 3% decrease to West Greenwich,
Negative 2.77.
and a 4.91 to Exeter, right?
491 for Exeter. Yeah.
Okay, all right, that will suffice. And those changes to the downs is reflected in the number that Claudine just mentioned, right?
Correct.
All right.
And the total impact, if you combine the two towns, is a 0.78% increase in the town contribution, and that's because we put money in the revenue side. So it's 4.91% increase to Exeter, negative 2.77% to West Greenwich. Total, when you combine both towns together, is a 0.78% increase contribution.
yep. And I think it's important to note that it's a 5.02% increase with a level funded operating budget with just the population shift. So we've gotten below that with all the work that's been done. So that's an important note. Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, so I'll take a roll call vote. Member Donovan?
Aye.
Member Green?
Aye.
Member Allen?
Nay.
Member McFadden?
I'm sorry, was that me?
Yeah, Member McFadden, yep.
Nay.
Member Pasillo?
Nay.
Member Monroe?
Aye.
And I'm an aye. Okay, motion carries 4 ayes and 3 nays. Okay, thank you, everybody. I'll give Jim a minute before we get to unfinished business.
Okay, I'm back.
You're back? Okay.
Thank you.
So we have unfinished business. We have the 2020-21 reentry planning update.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. We have done the Binax testing now at multiple schools. We have had one positive of an athlete, and that was an athlete who was homeschooled but comes to school for practices. We've now done Binax testing at Wawaloom, 0 positives, Metcalf, 0 positives, junior senior high school, 0 positives, except for that first day that we did the 1-day event where we had 1 staff and 1 student that tested positive. They're both back now, but we've had 0 since. Our positivity rate in the schools right now is as close to 0 as you could possibly get. We have, knock on wood, not had any new notifications in the past several weeks. The only notifications I've received are for kids that are homeschooled or distance learning, not for kids that are in school. So, we're in a really good place at the present time. The week before vacation, we brought back all 7th grade students to 5 days a week of in-person learning. Unless the family opted to maintain distance learning. And we had a handful of families that kept the hybrid, but the majority of the kids came back. On Monday of this week, yesterday, we welcomed back 8th graders to full in-person return at the junior high school. So we're going to monitor that situation just to make sure that everything is good. The bus routes have all been worked out. Ridership is all within the limits. Everything is good. We're just going to monitor for the next week or so to make sure that everything remains in a good place. And then we're going to start having conversations about the high school. There are a couple of other school districts that are looking at bringing kids back. They actually started at the high school with 12th graders because 12th graders are struggling. They're missing a lot of things right now. So to try to get them in person and get them over the graduation line is really the goal in some other districts. So that's something that we will talk about. But, if the numbers stay where they are, we're going to move forward with bringing more kids back, which is not a place I thought we would be at this point. It's been terrific. So all good. The testing is going well. Parents are happy. And I'm going to keep knocking on wood so I don't jinx myself.
Excellent news. Member Green, go ahead.
I just wanted to say I do appreciate the fact that you continue to reiterate that the testing is not mandatory, because I know not all schools have shared that sentiment, and I appreciate that. I was wondering, especially with the little ones, is this something you're going to continue to do, or is that all dependent on the great numbers we keep seeing?
Yeah, we will continue to do it.
I mean, going into next year, honestly, I think the little ones, I really hope we don't, just because I think they've just been through enough, and I don't know.
Yeah, I'm really thinking about how we're going to utilize the testing to get us through this year, and then revisit over the summer, because even if every adult in the community and all of our teachers and staff had the ability to be vaccinated before school started, there's still going to need to be a reentry committee for next year. We have 30% of our kids, 25 to 30% of our kids that have been out of in-person learning for a year plus 3 months. And I know there are going to be some things that will be different. So we're really going to need to think differently about opening up school next year as well. I don't know where we'll be at that point, and whether something will be necessary or not necessary. I don't know, but I'm really just looking at getting us through this year and having having access to the information about whether or not we have asymptomatic positivity, because I think that it provides a level of comfort for the families and for the staff so that we can do the in-person. But hopefully we won't need to do this next year.
Just because hopefully. I think the kids have been, it's something that there's been a lot of mental and emotional trauma to these kids. And I think we need to kind of, start getting them a little bit back to, I know it's not going to be a magic wand of, back to normal, but if we could just slowly get back. And then my other question was, you mentioned the seniors, and I think that population has probably taken the brunt between their junior year and now their senior year. And I was wondering if you were thinking of any creative ways to have some senior activities and have a prom and have their, events in a creative way to, give them something to look forward to.
Yeah. So we've actually already started to meet Southern superintendents. I meet on a very regular basis with East Greenwich, Westerly, North and South Kingstown, Charahoe, Narragansett, Jamestown. I don't think I'm missing anybody, but we have a work group that we meet constantly with. We've actually pulled Rido into a couple of our conversations so that we could get a sense of the existing guidance and any projected guidance for, the last couple of months of school, because we need to start planning for things like graduation. We've had a conversation with the Ryan Center about their ventilation systems. So we are actually going to have graduation one way or the other, whether it's going to be at the Ryan Center or in an outdoor setting. Depends on the crowd size restrictions that are in place at the time. That's where we are right now. So graduation will happen. We won't need to do a parking lot like we did last time. And I am not sure yet about proms. I think that's the most challenging one. But in terms of the other celebrations for kids, I know the National Honor Society is looking at an outdoor activity, where parents can come and we can actually do the recognitions in a normal way, but outdoors is better. So we're trying to take advantage of that. We have already started those discussions, and I know we're not going to have restrictions that we had last year. The kids that are graduating will have opportunities that last year's kids did not have.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, everybody's good? All right, good. Thanks, Jim. Okay, we have the unfinished business. We have the capital project update bond discussion.
Yep. Yes, I included an enclosure just to keep the school committee engaged in the process. The building committee will be meeting on Thursday night. The project managers will be in attendance. So will the commissioning agent, as well as some of the other professional services that we're purchasing. There will be a formal vote because we need it for minutes for the audit and to demonstrate to RIDE. We have two consensus that we were going with the OPMs as recommended, but the building committee will make the formal vote on Thursday night so that we have demonstrable minutes showing that happened. The throwaway line is in the second paragraph, last sentence. In that paragraph, I provided examples of kind of what we're going through, and we're doing our walkthroughs with the engineers. And I provided two examples, and I provided them to paraphrase, to illustrate that this is not a simple remove and replace project. There will be substantial re-engineering involved in this. And so with that kind of as our guidance, everybody is still rowing in the same direction, but we're going to have to lean really heavily on the project managers to make sure that they're staying on these guys, because there are some unique challenges to that building. Let me just say that. So other than that, it's just another full part-time job.
You and Jim have two full-time jobs. Any questions or comments for Bob? Everybody's good? Okay, thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are going to go into executive session. It's on your agendas. If somebody could read the motion to go into executive session or make the motion.
Second.
Okay, I need somebody to read it. On your agenda, it says to move into executive session at 7:37 p.m. Can somebody read that whole section there? Member Vasily, you want to make the
Madam Chair,
motion?
just to be clear, it's only to go in under 42-46-582, legal advice and
Correct.
potential litigation.
Yeah, that's what I need somebody to read.
Okay, I
make the
can do
motion.
that.
Go ahead, Member Allen.
To move to executive session at, I don't know what time it is.
7:37.
7:37, in accordance with 42-46-5 A2, legal advice, potential litigation, Town of Exeter 20 to 2021, rearage discussion. Oh,
Yeah, that's okay. Good.
okay,
Thanks.
action.
Okay. Diane moved. Do we have a second?
Second,
Member Priscilla seconds. Okay, let me take a roll call vote. Member Donovan,
Aye.
Member Green,
Aye.
Member Allen,
Aye.
Member McFadden,
Nay.
Member Priscilla,
aye.
Member Monroe.
Aye.
Okay, and I'm an aye. Okay, motion carries. So everybody's going to leave this meeting and go on to the link that Jim sent out, and then we'll go into executive session.
Oh, shoot. What's the link? You must
I sent the link in an email.
Can you just let me know what that is? Because I don't have that.
That would mean that the public could join the meeting, so I
Mhm.
think,
Oh,
I don't think we can do it that way.
oh, okay. Can you?
Is
Did
there
you
an email
send
address
it
you
out
do have
today?
access to?
Okay, I can't attend then.
Hold on one second.
Or can you text it to me?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how. Jeremy, can I send it to you and you can help Diane because I have to open up the meeting in order for people to get in.
Yeah, I also need her cell phone number.
Okay, it's 401
Hold on.
419 3666.
Okay, as soon as I get the email from Jim, I'll forward it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Jim, did you send that to personal emails?
He's already gone. I'm going to send it to you too.
Yes.
The email where I sent your invite?
Yeah, that'd be fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, you know what?
Cox. At Cox,
Yeah.
Terry?
Yes, please, at cox.net.
Okay.
TC Donovan at cox.net.
Yeah, it's on its way.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
And, get over to my text message app here.
Okay, you
Diane,
sent it?
I texted you the link.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
Would you like the number and the password? Is that easier for you?
Yeah,
All right.
it's not showing up. Oops.
I'm all set, Jeremy. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I think this might be.
Did you say you haven't gotten my email?
Okay, just a minute.
Oh, that's the meeting number.
Yeah, okay, I got it.
And this is the password.
Oops. Oops. Okay. Okay. Shoot.
Okay, let's see. I think we just don't have Paul. All right, well. Maybe Paul's not coming back. Okay, so we're back in open session. So if I can have a motion to seal the executive session minutes.
So moved, Diane.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. I'm going to take our roll call vote. Member Donovan?
Aye.
Member Green?
Aye.
Member Allen?
Aye.
Member Patillo?
Aye.
Member Monroe? Okay, and I'm an aye. Okay, motion carries. So we've sealed the minutes. Okay. And then a disclosure of votes taken in executive session. So we had 4 votes taken in executive session.
Mhm.
And Member Green is our clerk, and I'm going to have her read the motions that were taken or the votes.
If something needs to be reworded, just let me know. I mean, I don't know if it's possible at this point, but. So the first motion by Member McFadden, a motion to not pursue this with litigation with the town of Exeter any further and without reconsideration. Seconded by Member Piccolo. The motion failed 6-1. Just continue.
Yeah, that was good. Yep.
Okay. Second motion was by Member Piccolo to write a letter to the town of Exeter suggesting their interpretation is wrong. We believe we're owed the money, but we will I'm sorry, I'm reading my chicken scratch.
Hold the claim in abeyance until further notice, I think.
Yeah, I just can't read this part. We're owed the money, but we will hold any more collection action in abeyance until further notice. That was seconded by Member McFadden, and the motion failed 4-3. Okay, the third motion was brought by Member Allen, and it's a motion to write a letter to the town of Exeter suggesting their interpretation is wrong, and we believe we're owed the money. But since they paid $62,000 for the SRO, we will no longer pursue the matter. Seconded by Member McFadden. The motion failed 4-3. The fourth motion by Member Panday. Her motion states to bring legal action against the town of Exeter for non-compliance with the law and the charter with regard with the failure to pay $34,671 in the 2021 budget year, but only after providing the town of Exeter notice to cure the notice and an opportunity to cure the deficiency. The motion carried 5-2.
Okay.
That's it.
Already. Very good. Cheryl, thank you. Excellent job there. Okay. So, I'm patting you.
Very
I'm
good
pat-
job,
I'm
Cheryl.
personally patting you on the back. Okay, very good. So now we need a motion to adjourn.
Donovan, so moved.
I apologize.
I'll second that.
Al,
Okay.
okay.
I apologize. I completely missed important dates and meetings in our agenda, but you all have them.
Mhm.
And then I didn't ask Jim if he had anything else he wanted to mention before we wrap up. Jim, you're good? Okay, Jim's good. All right, very good. Sorry. Okay, so we have a motion to adjourn. We have a second. Member Donovan,
Aye.
Member Green,
Aye.
Member Allen,
Aye.
Member Pasillo,
Aye.
Member Monroe. Okay, and I'm an aye. Motion carries. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.